Good afternoon. I have known Dr. Jane Dressler for almost 30 years. During that time, she has been my teacher, my colleague, my mentor, and for the 2 years she served as the interim director of the School of Music, as my boss. Instead of making some impromptu remarks today, I thought instead I would read from a letter I recently wrote requesting that she be granted emeritus status upon her retirement this spring. Dated March 1st, 2020. Dear Dr. McWilliams, I am honored to write a letter requesting emeritus status for Dr. Jane Dressler, Professor of Music. Over the course of the last 28 years, I have known Dr. Dressler in many capacities, and I relish this opportunity to speak to her myriad of strengths. I came to Kent State in the fall of 1992 as an inexperienced, naive singer-actor with little to no understanding of what it meant to be a music major. As I had almost no prior exposure to classical music, I was completely overwhelmed by music theory, voice lessons, historical context, and the expectations of a college curriculum. Under these less than ideal circumstances, I began my training under the tutelage of Professor Jane Dressler and her singer's diction and music literature courses, as well as 1 year of applied vocal study. Dr. Dressler has always represented the ideal professional model to her students. She is well-spoken, thoughtful, dedicated, witty, and endlessly knowledgeable. As young students in her classes, she encouraged us to ask questions and seek clarification. Without judgment, she gently guided us to find the answers ourselves. She conveyed information that was entirely new to us and helped us to connect with it. This was all done in an atmosphere of professionalism, but with a healthy amount of humor and reassurance. She knew exactly how to share information without alienating her students. Her love of the content was always evident in her teaching and inspiring to us all. In the fall of 2002, I was privileged to join the faculty of the Glauser School of Music, and my teacher became my colleague. I continued to witness Dr. Dressler's dedication to education, but from a new perspective. I saw that thoughtful, dedicated teacher tirelessly prepare for her classes. I saw that witty, knowledgeable educator continuously reinvent her courses to find fresh new approaches to the materials. I saw that diligent professor constantly reflect on her effectiveness in the classroom and evolve with the changing needs of each generation of students. In short, Dr. Dressler has always epitomized what it means to be a teacher. In the spring of 2017, the Glauser School of Music found itself in the unenviable position of needing an interim director. I was on the faculty advisory committee that semester, and we unanimously agreed to ask Dr. Dressler if she would consider undertaking that role. To our collective relief, she did. At a point in her career where many might not choose to take on new challenges, Dr. Dressler did exactly the opposite. She approached her new role with the same professionalism and integrity that she has always used as an educator. I am certain those 2 years were extremely challenging for her, but the faculty only ever saw a strong leader dedicated to the future of the School of Music. It is with these heartfelt thoughts that I give my strongest recommendation to bestow the title of Emeritus Professor on Dr. Jane Dressler. She has always been a gifted, open, demanding, committed educator, colleague, and administrator. Her dedication to her students, to the School of Music, and to Kent State University over the last 33 years should serve as a model for every faculty member on our campus. I will truly miss my friend and our weekly, laugh-filled exchanges in the hallway between classes. To me, she has been a symbol of what teaching is and what teaching can be. I wish her all the best as she embarks on this next chapter. Sincerely, Timothy Culver. Please welcome Dr. Jane Dressler.
As the date of my retirement draws closer, Dr. McWilliams has invited me to provide some perspective about my career. I've decided to speak with you about the role that chance, fortune, or luck has played in my experiences. To put it simply, as I look back on my life in music, I see a lot of coincidences and opportunities, often happening simultaneously throughout my professional years. I'll start by listing some examples of the chances I regularly took. Many worked in my favor, and no matter the outcome, I learned something from the process. applying for college teaching jobs, singing auditions, initiating conversations, submitting papers or essays for presentation or publication. Now on to something that's more interesting. Here are 2 examples of coincidences that turned into opportunities. My first job interview was for a 1-semester sabbatical replacement at a small college in Iowa. On the first night of the interview, it was clear that the search committee had confused my file with another applicant's or confused me with another soprano they had previously judged in a competition. They asked me about my Ravel songs that I had never sung and about the bass who took second place. There were no basses in the competition I won, so I knew something was wrong. To make matters more interesting, since I had done a lot of voice accompanying as a student at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I knew the soprano and her repertory. I watched her teach for a year as a studio accompanist, and I had indeed enjoyed her performance of the Ravel. In the circumstances, I had to speak up. I explained that I thought a mix-up had taken place. When I reached the hotel after dinner, I called my undergraduate teacher for advice. His reply was on point. "The egg is on their faces, Jane. You have nothing to lose." I slept well, enjoyed the teaching, and finished the day as best I could, all the while seeing inaccurate signs describing my career around the building. This was weird. The good news is the college offered me the job 48 hours after the interview, and that's how my life as a college music instructor began. Some years ago, on a cross-country flight, I struck up a conversation with a man sitting across the aisle. He wore a UNL lapel pin. I introduced myself, and we talked for a long time. Professor Rosowski was a phycologist, a biologist who studies river fungus. He was an expert on Nebraska rivers, including the one near my hometown. At the end of our talk, he mentioned his wife was on the faculty too. I asked him what her area of study was, and his reply was to name the renowned Nebraska author, Willa Cather. I shared my interest in Cather with him, and he politely listened. Several years later, as I considered a project using Cather's words as song texts, I called Professor Sue Rosowski. She remembered her husband mentioning the conversation and asked me for more information. Thus began my 20 years of scholarship with Willa Cather's writing about classical music and musicians. I commissioned a major song cycle from Minneapolis composer Libby Larson, who adapted text and wrote music for the songs. The project itself received support from the National Endowment of the Arts, the Ohio Arts Council, and the Nebraska Arts Council. Ultimately, I performed the cycle nearly 20 times in a 5-year period in 7 states. I published a few articles, and I presented some conference papers too, and I met a new group of music supporters. What a privilege it was to have this experience as part of my life as a musician. So what is the best way to prepare for unexpected choices, coincidences, and opportunities? Work every day to become the best musician you can be. Keep up with your profession through reading, listening, and whenever possible, attending concerts. Although we have recently relied on digital performance, there is no substitute for hearing live music in real time. Be a professional collaborator and a dependable friend. This is basic stuff. Arrive on time, prepared, and with a good attitude. As Professor Marla Berg says, bring your best and be your best. Develop your group of friends and collaborators. Develop them and cherish them. Surround yourself with positive personalities. Remember, just by telling yourself, I can do this, you are making progress. So what is a good way to deal with unexpected obstacles? Things that are thrown in the path unexpectedly. Try to keep an open mind and to keep on learning. Despite the difficulties we faced during the change to online instruction this semester, I learned some valuable lessons. The students in the School of Music want to learn. Our students are open to creative solutions. I was reminded of the importance and the beauty of music. The music itself was my conduit to connect with my students every day. The last thing was something I had known all along. My colleagues on the Applied Voice faculty are the best musicians, most focused teachers, and the kindest people I've ever known. So to close, in the midst of these unexpected times, I hope we can all take a moment to consider that despite this upheaval, we're still experiencing our own chance of a lifetime, a life filled with music. This magnificent profession is filled with hard work, unexpected challenges, wonderful friendships and collaborations, and the irreplaceable experiences of being a musician. I wish you all the best, and I thank you for your support during my years at the Hugh A. Glauser School of Music. Remember, you can do this. Have a great summer.